We've been learning about iterators, and we've been picturing them as these monster things that emerge from whatever structure, list, or set that they happen to be looping over. And we saw that in the last video that one thing we do not want to do is call the next method more than once in a loop, because if we do that, we actually advance more than once, and we definitely don't want to call next more often than we test has next. And in this case, we got some very funny behavior for calling next twice in the loop, and I wanted to take a look real quick at how to fix that, right? So if we didn't want to write that code, what should we do instead? Well, we should call it next once and save the answer, right? The answer will be a string. So call it next once, and now we can simply test. Here we go. If s equals hello, then print out s, which is, I think, the behavior we wanted all along. So look for that. In fact, it rarely hurts to store the result of it.next in a variable at the beginning of your loop and then work with that variable for the rest of the loop. It will prevent you from that temptation to call it.next over and over again in your code, which is nearly always going to lead to terrible tragedy like we saw in the previous example. Alright, let's take a look at another goofy use of iterators, right? Because what we're doing now is looking at how not to use iterators. So how else can we not use iterators? Well, here's a way. We could say, we'll begin again by asking my list for its iterator. And here's a picture of my list if you want to refer to something. This is what's in the list variable, I guess. And I guess if we were being complete about the picture, then the it variable refers to this monster thing here. Okay. But, back to my code. Okay, so we'll get an iterator. Actually, what if we don't use a variable for this? I think that would be more interesting. While list iterator has next, we will print out list iterator next. What is that code going to do? And at first you might think, well, while you have a next, print the next thing. And then while you have a next, print the next thing, and eventually you won't have a next and we'll print out all the elements, right? That sounds good at first. What could go wrong? Well, let's draw a picture. I think this would be a fun picture to draw, so we're going to make sure we draw it out. So, again, we have all of my favorite data elements like before. I have hello, the string, and what's up, barely fitting in the box, and bye. Those are my three elements in my list. And that structure, let's change colors. That structure is called list. And the first thing we do is we say, while list iterator has next. So let's take that line a little bit at a time. The first part says, while list iterator. And anytime I say list iterator, one of these monster things comes out. So, monster emerges. Roar! There's your monster. And it's got a big mouth and a place for an eyeball or an ear or I don't know what. There you go. And it says, hello. Right? Let's see it say hello. That's just so cute when it says that. Here we go. Hello. And at that moment, it advances to the next spot, so the next time we call next, we should get back what's up. So actually, I think I skipped too many steps here. So the first thing we did is we said list iterator, and that produced this monster. It didn't say hello yet. Then we asked it has next, and it says true. Right? In fact, I want to get rid of this hello. And there we go. This is where we were at. We pop up the monster, list iterator. We ask it has next, and it says true. It has next. And so we get to this print line in the middle of the loop, and it says print list iterator next. Now that does not ask this iterator that we just created to say its first value, which is hello. Instead, and this is important, when we call list iterator, we're calling list iterator again. That means we're asking list, hey, go produce one of those monsters. And so up pops another monster. So we get a second one of these iterator things, and we're asking that monster to what's your next value. So that one's going to say hello, just like that, in that silly voice. and it's going to advance to the next element. And then we'll say, while list iterator has next, we get back to this test. Which list iterator are we testing if it has a next? Is it the pink one? The orange one? No, it's neither, right? It's a brand new iterator. A third one comes into existence at this moment, right? Maybe a sort of pale colored one. Third iterator. Okay, here we go. Third iterator with a giant I this time. And that third iterator does have a next, right? Because it's at the beginning. And we say print out that list iterator next again. We get a fourth iterator, right? Maybe purple this time. Fourth iterator. And this one is going to say what? When we ask it its next, it's going to say hello, because we keep starting at the beginning. We keep saying, get me another iterator. Do you have a next? Yup. Excuse me, getting too excited here. Get me another iterator. What's your next? It's hello, every time, right? Excuse me. Okay, so I think you see the folly of this approach. We really do need to create the iterator exactly once and store it away in a variable, like we did way back when we did this correctly. Alright, one more thing I want to look at in this video, and that's removing. And since I've run a room on this particular page, we'll just start a new one. Okay, here's what I want to do now. I want to remove, I'll even define the whole method. Just resting my voice for a moment if it seems too quiet. Okay, so what am I trying to accomplish in this one? I'm trying to remove the string that matches S in this list. And I'm writing this using an iterator in what might be a semi-old-fashioned approach. Whenever I find S, I will remove. Otherwise, now you're going to hear my cat complaining that my wife went outside. Alright, here we go. When I'm trying to remove an element from the list, whatever element corresponds to S, and the way I'm doing that is I'm looping over the list. Here's my call to next, here's my has next, and whenever next matches S, I ask the list itself, please remove the element at this particular index. And with any luck, I've kept track of my index correctly. So I think I'll stop this video here, and I'll leave you to think about what goes wrong with this code, and it's not the index math. So I'll see you in a moment.